So I hope everybody that's tuned in right now watching us has had a wonderful Independence Day weekend. I am live with Gabe and with Nigel. I think my video might be blocked because I'm doing this on my phone. There we go. Welcome to the beach, party people. Welcome to the beach. I'll take you around. Here I am. I'm in Capitola Village. I just finished up an amazing ride. And Nigel and Gabe and I are going to have a conversation right now about investment. Now, we're doing what we call our sonic streaming conversations 1 or 2 times a week. And today, I get to interview Nigel about voice diversity. Nigel will interview Gabe about entrepreneurship, and Gabe will interview me about family. Usually, Ted Haas, our chief of ethics, joins us, but today, he's taking care of family. And so he and I will do a one-on-one interview later, and I'll talk with him about ethics. I just finished up this amazing one-wheel ride this morning all over Capitola Village, all the way up to Pleasure Point and the Hook, all over Santa Cruz. And I thought, why go back to my office when I can be right here, right now? And I think this is a nice change. So before we have Gabe jump off and block his video so Nigel and I can have a conversation, why don't we do quick introductions? So I will start. My name's Ian. If you don't know me, thanks for your attention. I am the CEO and co-founder of attn.live, where I think if you want to hear a grandiose statement, we built the greatest communication tool in the history of the world. It is the Gutenberg printing press of the digital age. And I'm very thankful for that. Nigel Wright has become a wonderful friend and also an ambassador for our company, as he has found many new ways of leveraging our proprietary technology to communicate better and to look toward ways of monetizing his audio content. There's so many things I could say about Nigel, but I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment. And Gabe Biggers. He's been on our team for almost 4 years. I met Gabe when he was 14. He's now a man. We're looking at a 18-year-old man here, everybody. I really, really enjoy spending time with Gabe, talking with Gabe. I am always impressed over and over again with Gabe's work output. He reminds me a lot of my co-founder and CTO, Landry Woolworth. He's a running back. You hand Gabe the ball, and he will score the touchdown for you. So, Nigel, why don't you jump in and fill in the introduction for those that haven't had a chance to meet you yet.
CEO, one of the most important things you can do.
Nigel, please excuse me for interrupting you, but the volume on your mic is not coming through as clear as it was a moment ago. Maybe just double check that. Make sure it's not. There we go. It was just really good for a second. I wonder if it's that's better. Yeah.
Okay. Let me make sure. Let me just crank the volume up on the actual device here. I'm still learning this handy dandy.
Or maybe grab the mic and just and hold it and see if that makes a difference. I'm wondering if it's.
Is that better?
That's better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, Nigel Wright, working here in Gratitude Champion. I am thrilled to be my CEO, Chief Engagement Officer. It's one of the best things you could do as a human. The intersection of technology and humanity. I'm able to embrace them. I'm always interested in having good human conversations to see how that's me.
Nigel, I may have you unplug that microphone because it kind of sounds like you're underwater a little bit. It might be better just to have the open air mic for this moment. It's funny because when it's hard to hear people, sometimes everybody leans in what's he saying? Wait. Especially the old wise men. You're leaning in. You're what is he saying? So that's not bad,
How's this?
but it would probably be better for everybody to hear you crystal clear.
Is this better?
A little bit. That was it. That was it. You know what it is, Nigel? You're talking too quiet. You need to talk louder. That's what it was.
I think that maybe. Hang on.
That's it, right there. Yes, that's it. It just you weren't projecting loud for some reason. It wasn't coming across. Yeah, that's the move. That's the move. That's what we needed.
Okay. All right. So forgive the technical difficulties from a technical guy. So I'm going to go one more time. I am Nigel Wright, voice CEO and gratitude champion, and I love communicating with humans. I sit at the intersection of humanity and technology. I'm bullish on voice tech, and I'm always fascinated by the way we could use technology to enhance our human experience. So I'm happy to be here this morning, and I'm looking forward to an amazing conversation.
Me too. Gabe, please fill in the gap. Let people know how cold it is in your town right now. Things like that.
I'm Gabe. I'm the entrepreneur in residence at attn.live. I've been working with Ian and our team for about 3.5, coming on years about. And yeah, we've been building this awesome product and we're just trying to make it better. And yeah.
Love it. And is it still really cold there in Reading today?
No, I'm not in Reading at the moment. I'm up 40 minutes north of Seattle.
That's right. You're in Seattle,
and
so you escape the heat. I was trying to make a joke about how cold it is in Reading, but it's like 111 degrees there.
No, I'll be back there. I fly back at around 5. So
yeah, but when you arrive, you can just don't go north to Reading. Just come south to Santa Cruz because, you know what I'm saying? Bring your one wheel, by the way.
Looks very nice.
Or don't. I have one wheels. Let's start this. Let's start the madness. So everybody that's watching, the purpose of this live streamed video is to provide a raw, vulnerable, authentic expression of what, in this case, the three of us are doing today. And what we're doing is that we are jumping on Zoom and then we're interviewing each other. While we interview each other, we're streaming this video so you can see kind of behind the scenes. But ultimately, we're interviewing each other and then going live and streaming the audio to social media sites like YouTube, to voice devices like Amazon's Echo devices. And so this is a chance for all of us to gather together and kind of interview each other and then go live on our platform. And so this is just kind of behind the scenes, which is why it's, raw. And I don't mind telling Nigel, talk louder, because right now I'm having to lean in. What is he saying? What is he saying? And there we go. So, Gabe, why don't you stop sharing your video? Nigel, why don't you press start on the stream if you haven't yet? And we're ready to rock and roll. I'll be interviewing you first, Nigel, and give me a thumbs up when you're ready to be my first victim.
I just restarted the stream. I love that, the first victim. So I am 100% ready. Let's get into this.
Here we go. So today's topic is about investment. Last Wednesday, we talked about it's introductions, right? What qualifies us. For you, Nigel, to talk about voice diversity, for Gabe to talk about entrepreneurship, for Ted to talk about ethics, for me to talk about family. Today is investment. Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask you about all the money you've invested into voice diversity, but there's nothing more valuable than your time. And I have seen you consistently invest your time into having conversations with anybody and everybody, and very specifically, very strategically having conversations with people that can actually make a difference.
Yes, did you freeze?
In what you framed.
What is going on? Hold on.
I can hear you. I'm with you. I'm with you right now, Nigel. I would not leave you in this moment. Hopefully all the people out there can still hear me and see me moving. I'm floating on my one wheel. Nigel apparently is not able to hear me. Maybe if I stopped talking, he would start talking. You know, that's usually the case in my life. If I would just stop talking, the other person would start talking. It looks like Nigel's frozen. It looks like
I completely
Gabe.
went.
There we go. I heard you. I heard you, Nigel.
You heard me the whole time?
I heard you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I
can
don't know
hear
what
you
happened
now.
there. But you...
Okay, we're ready. We're ready to rock. Let's pick it up right here, right now.
Perfect.
My question to you, Nigel, is
yes.
Talk to me about the investment of time that you've made into the topic of voice diversity. You have my full undivided attention. I will not speak or ask any questions until you tell me to.
Okay. I don't know. You went silent there a minute. Can you still hear me?
That's on purpose. Yes.
Okay. Great.
You're up.
So, voice diversity and investment. The greatest investment I believe we can make in anything, you know, even beyond, even that transcends the voice diversity topic, is in other humans. Now, I will preface that statement with the fact that that may not always work out. But for me personally, and particularly in the voice, you know, diversity space, the human experience is, or the human participation in that conversation is really what drives the results. And it's that authentic, transparent, honest communication that builds the trust that allows you to unearth the biases we all have and the different cultural and environmental, socioeconomic, you name it, of our experience as humans. And this is the only way we really get the value of our diversity, which is our strength. So for me, by far, the biggest investment has been in humans. So even before you know, voice diversity specifically, and I'll get into that in a little bit, I'm going to give you an example of why that always pays the proper dividends. If you are truly focused on building or engaging with others, it is going to require time. It's not going to be the proverbial, I like to say, the wow, great, amazing comment. It is not going to be that. It is going to be, it's going to take time, and it is going to require a meaningful investment of your time to understand what you can build with another person. So the 1 + 1 = 11. Like, what is it about me combined with what is it about you that can grow to be something that is not just advantageous for me as an individual and you as an individual, but as us together. So I remember when I first started as a consultant, I'll just tell this quick story. Got the job that I wanted, at the rate that I wanted. You know, I was working at the JP Morgan Chase, and the owner of the consulting firm that placed me there, they just landed a massive contract. And I was comfortable with where I was. And everybody, you know, around figured, oh man, this owner has this big contract. Let's basically gang up on her. And for me, I was like, nah, I'm not feeling that. That's not what we've built. This person, you know, was there. They found me. They reached out. They always put me in a position to succeed because we spent time building a relationship. And rather than go the direction of anarchy, like some chose to, I chose to double down on the investment in that person. So to celebrate our success, I literally went out to the local liquor store, and I bought a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne, and I delivered it to her office to congratulate her on her success. And now I wasn't a big, drinker of champagne, nor have I ever bought that for myself. But I figured it was a perfect gesture at a perfect time to celebrate success that I had, again, an individual success for her, which turned into a bigger success for me. Lo and behold, fast forward, I ended up with a much larger share, stake in the, in the building process of the company, of the so-called client paying share, if you will. But I say that because when you think about voice diversity and the time it requires to speak to people, like to learn from people, I should say, you have to actually go out and talk to the audience you impact. You have to be responsible enough and accountable enough to see that as valuable. It's not going to come as, oh, I think it's this way, because you don't know until you ask. So where I spend a lot of my time is really going out to people directly, one-on-one, not just blasting, on social media going, hey, look, I'm talking about voice diversity, join me, whatever. I'm an influencer, or however you want to put it. It comes from listening to what they say. When someone says, you know what, I have a hearing challenge, or I have a visual challenge, and this would be helpful to me. Or I'm a senior and I want to know how technology can be more friendly to me, how it can actually help my life. All the stuff you're talking to me about, about it being so advanced and so going into the future, and it's the Jetsons and, Minority Report and all these other things. But the practical side of it, it's not really resonating with me as a senior. How does it help me? And listening to those things and going back to them and say, well, how do you want to be helped? How is it not helping you? What would help? What have you seen? What feedback have you gotten? And it's collecting that data and then bringing it back to others I've built relationship with that are the brain trust, the ones that have all the information, and say, hey, this is the information I heard directly from the folks that are impacted by this technology. What do you think? And it's not to say that I have the answer. It's all in the conversation. But if you haven't asked the questions and you haven't brought back good data to feed those conversations, then how could we ever get to a point of diversity? We're just guessing. And that's what I really focus on, and it has paid huge dividends. I'm asking a question now: what is your definition of voice diversity? Because I think all of us, on some level, have a different view of it. And the feedback I've been getting has been fascinating. The folks who dug in have really dug in, and they provided me some great feedback, which I'm going to release. And I'm also doing a conversation on Monday, July 12th, on Clubhouse in the Human Behavior Club. So I'm looking forward to speaking on that as well. But that's how I find I've gotten the most value in terms of investing in people, in terms of voice diversity. I hope that answers the question.
That was great. Let me ask you this question. How would you like to see your network invest time into voice diversity? Like, how would you like to see Gabe and myself and Ted and Dr. Terry Fisher and all the amazing women that are part of the voice community? How would you like to see us make an investment of time and energy into being focused on the diversity of voices, not just the diversity of voices, but all that we've talked about when it comes to voice diversity? Let's wrap up on that note. I'd just like for you to kind of give a call to action to the voice community and beyond.
I got to say this. I am so glad you asked that question. Truly, and I know that sounds cliche, but I am so glad you asked that question. And I have an answer. And the answer is this: be as plain and transparent and authentic as possible. Shed all of the regalia. And speak plainly. One, because it's going to resonate with more people. If you speak plainly, the way people understand, like Denzel Washington line, I think in Philadelphia, explain it to me like I'm a 2-year-old, like that. You're gonna get the right response. And when you have a knowledge, if you've been blessed to have the opportunity to learn, to understand technology, your greatest value is practical application in a way people understand. So bring more people to the conversation. What do you need help with? And demonstrate how to help with that. Beyond the cameras and the sounding, resumes and all these other things, it's those pieces that I think are going to resonate. And ask the tough questions and foster and support whatever answers you get back. I think the reason people aren't more honest is because we don't create a brave and safe space for them to speak without reprisal. So those are the things that I would love to see from the incredible minds that sit in the rooms that you and I are repeatedly. I want to hear those questions asked. not to get a great sounding answer, but the answer that people are feeling, and specifically the people who are impacted by this technology, who may be underrepresented or disenfranchised from being participants, because that data is eventually going to feed things at scale that once released, we may have a lot more difficult time dialing back. So I hope that helps in terms of answering that question, and I thank you for asking it.
I'm glad I asked it. That was great. You are very active on many social media sites, many that are known like Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, and some that are emerging like Clubhouse and Studio and Attention Live.
Yep.
Can you just let people know what's your handle? If somebody wants to connect with you, just be a consumer of Nigel Wright and consume the mass amount of content that you make, or a dialogue with you, right? Where do they DM you, things of that nature? How would people get in touch with you?
Okay, I think for you, depending on where you go, I think Instagram is, direct message me is great. You can also just click the button and text me directly from Instagram as well. But if you prefer email, I'm Nigel Wright, pretty much everywhere, and Nigel Wright at Gmail if you want to send me an email. But ideally, I'm nobody until you get to know me. And I think getting to know me is where, the conversation begins and where we can start to build. So at Nigel Wright at Gmail, you can DM me on Instagram or text me directly from that space. And I'm here to build. I'm here to actually build with people, not just to broadcast whatever it is I'm talking about. So feel free.
Love it. Okay, so those that are listening through Nigel's Attention Live broadcast, thank you for your attention. For those that are tuned in live here on Attention Live's YouTube channel or watch the archive, thanks for joining Nigel and I. What's going to happen right now is Gabe Viggers is going to start sharing his video again. I am going to stop sharing my video. I'm going to go on mute, and I, like you, the audience, am going to get my popcorn out, and I'm going to enjoy this conversation while trying to keep my balance on this digital dragon I'm on. Okay, so if you've never ridden a one wheel, by the way, Gabe, you can come on as I'm filling time. If you've never ridden a one wheel, it's an enlightened life, everybody. This is an elevated human experience. Sometimes I just like to, in private, give it little hugs and kisses, you know what I'm saying? I mean, not weird, respectful, honorable, for all the joy it brings me. All right, Gabe, I don't see your video yet, but now is the time to come back on. It's time for you and Nigel to have a combo. Good. That was what it was. Okay, I'll be back after you guys finish this conversation.
Thanks, Ian.
Hi, Nigel. How you doing?
I am doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm up in the great state of Washington.
Yeah. Oh, nice. How was your 4th?
My 4th was eventful. It was good. There's a lot of fireworks and a lot of that stuff going on. But how was yours?
I just, bracing for the storm. A lot of rain. A lot of rain. Been doing a lot of rainy day content, literally.
Well, that's good.
So that's where I make lemonade in life. So let's get into this conversation about entrepreneurship and investment. And I'm keen to speak to you about this because from first learning of it, I was fascinated by the fact that you've been doing this since you're 14, and likely before. Mm-hmm. And I think it's always great to have that leg up in terms of access and opportunity to be able to participate in technology early, mm-hmm. in anything early, and be able to, again, fast forward, to have great mentors, to have the ability to participate more than anything else. So I would love to hear what you've invested in any particular way, what you find the most important about, the investment in entrepreneurship, and where you even see your investment going in the future. So if I had to frame it, very specifically, it would be, What have you already invested? What are you currently investing? And what do you see yourself investing in the future in terms of entrepreneurship?
So that's a great question. So I'll start with what have I considered investing in. So I would say things that I've invested in that have helped me in entrepreneurship have been I've gone to like about five Google startup weekends, which I think has helped me learn about. I mean, you don't get the whole tale about how a company starts from finish, but you just get to see about how a website's made and stuff like that, because you only have 3 days, and you need a lot more than 3 days to really start a company and get it running. But I would say the Google startup weekends have been great. Also I will say, as being in high school, is being on sports teams has been a good investment, because it teaches you how to like work together for one committed goal. Because then when we're at Attention Live, it's like we're all on a team and we're all trying to work for the same thing, which is success and pleasing everyone that uses the product and such.
So let me jump in there. Let me just jump in real quick and ask this. Give me one example of something you've learned in sports that you found you invested in and you saw the dividend.
I'll talk about, so one of my favorite sports that I played growing up was football. And it's a very, very, very team-oriented sport. And so basically, if one person doesn't do their job, the whole team suffers. And that's one thing that you have to learn if you're on a team, is you need to carry your weight. Because if you're focused on the same goal, and if one person is slacking or not doing something correctly, like if an offensive lineman isn't blocking, the quarterback and the running back are going to feel it. They're going to feel it. And that's the same sort of concept.
Have you seen that happen?
Oh yeah, that's the same sort of concept you can carry over and like work or something. If you're working on something and like you do a bad job or something of that nature, then it's gonna be felt somewhere else, and it's gonna reflect on you. And you'd like to put 100% upfront all the time, and so.
Okay, so if you can, I want to hear, because you sound like you're speaking from true experience. Tell me about the football field being the sport that it is. One time did you see somebody not pull their weight, or pull their weight and have a result?
So one time we were on the field. I'll tell you the story. So our left tackle for some reason didn't want to show up that day at all. And we went through two quarterbacks in one game.
Okay. Ouch.
Due to injury. We went through two quarterbacks in one game. And we literally had to change our quarterback from it wasn't someone that had played quarterback. It was someone that had to come in and play quarterback. He was originally a receiver, never played quarterback, and we weren't able to throw the ball because we just had to have him hand the ball off because he didn't know what he was doing. His main position was playing wide receiver. He wasn't playing quarterback.
Okay, and what did you learn? And what did you learn from that experience?
Do your job to do your job and do it well.
Nice.
Do not flash.
Okay, so what are you currently investing in right now?
So what I would say, what I'm currently investing in at the moment is, I would say, I would consider what I'm doing right now investing in is my career. Working at Attention Live, I feel like this is a really big investment, just because I'm learning a lot. I've learned a ton. I've made a bunch of connections that will help me in the future in the voice tech community, the NFT industry, Ian, just a ton of more things that I believe would be considered an investment, because it'll help me one day, because I've made all these awesome connections. And one thing in business is connections, and connections is a huge thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. So to close this up, tell me about what you see yourself investing in the future in terms of your entrepreneurship. Things that that may be right at hand, but things that you may be more aspirational.
That's a good question. Things I would like to invest in the future. I've been so focused on the now, I haven't really been thinking about the future, which I mean, maybe it could be a
That's
problem,
fair.
but I've been so focused on what's happening now. But I would
Well,
say,
let's think about. Well, let me frame it a little bit differently. What do you think you can do more that might not be right at hand to build off of what you've already done? So let me give you a helpful example. I think you've made over 2,000 NFTs, correct?
you are 100% correct.
Okay, so how do you think you like that specifically? How do you think you can build on that in terms of investment to further, what you're trying to accomplish in life?
I got a perfect answer for that. So NFT NYC is coming up, and I will be I've submitted my application to do a 10-minute speaking section in there. And so something like that is I can speak on it, stuff like that at some events, be interviewed about NFTs and stuff like that, because I have somewhat of a young, vast knowledge on the concept of non-fungible tokens, because I've made so many. I've been in that community for, I don't want to say as long as it's existed, but for the past 2 to 3 years, and the past 4 to 6 months is when they really like kicked up and became prominent. And so, yeah, I would say going to events, doing stuff like that, meeting more NFT people, because there still is a ton for me to learn. Like, there is a ton on the blockchain for me to learn. I have learned a smidgen. I have learned all of the.
Well, in closing, I'm going to step on your humbleness and just say that you're a practitioner. Let's keep it 100, and I'm going to just say it for you. You're a practitioner, and I personally am looking forward to doing more with you and seeing how we can build together. That's for certain. So,
As
a wealth of knowledge. You've been absolutely fantastic as a guide to the Attention Live platform and onboarding and so forth, and really helping me to get the most out of the support from the organization. So this was really good. This was really good. I love the examples you gave, and the frankness with which you provided that. So I look forward to our talks on voice diversity, as well as what you bring to entrepreneurship as we go forward. And with that, tell people how you can folks can get in touch with you.
People get in touch with me through Instagram, Twitter. LinkedIn is usually the #1 place where people end up finding me somehow. I mean, they just look at my name, but I mean, on LinkedIn, usually it's just Gabe Vigors, and yeah, it's basically LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram.
What's your platform of choice?
My platform of choice. So
what's your platform of choice?
My platform of choice. So personal, for my personal information, or not personal information, like
I think you broke up there a little bit.
My personal life and stuff like that, I would say.
Trust.
We're all good. We're losing connection for a second. No problem. Wait a second.
I can still hear you, Gabe. Why don't you keep going?
I would say personal is Instagram. For work, if you want to reach me via work or something like that, I would say LinkedIn. And then also Twitter. Twitter's a good work one as well. I do a lot of stuff on Twitter that revolve around tech and all that goodness. But Ian,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm back.
So we're yep. We continue to
Nigel, Nigel, I'll have you stop sharing your video so Gabe and I can jump into our conversation, and then I'll have you come back at the end.
All right, and I'm gonna stop the stream on Attention Live here.
Very good. Okay, Gabe, here we are, my friend. Before we start my interview, one other thing that you're doing for investment in entrepreneurship is you're taking courses. You're taking some courses with Coursera. I just encourage you to take Patrick Sweetman's Udemy course on how to create, how to code Ethereum-based smart contracts for Polygon, which is what we use for NFTs. So you didn't mention that, so I'm mentioning it for you. You do quite a bit of investment in education stuff. So now the tables are turning, and Gabe, I am your victim. I'm ready for your questions about investing in family. I have no idea what I'm going to say. I'm on the edge of my seat.
That's always fun.
Like, what am I going to say? I can't wait to hear it. Hopefully it's intelligible
All right.
and helpful. So let's do it. I am ready, my friend.
All right, Ian. What is one of the most worthwhile investments, money, time, energy, you've ever made that has impacted your family? That has impacted your family or helped benefit or anything like that?
So,
or it could be in a negative
this morning
way.
I'm just going to give you some recent examples of money, time, energy investment in my family. This morning, I got up after sunrise. First thing I did was I got my one wheel and I went and I rode along the coast up and down for an hour. The reason why that's such an important investment into my family is it keeps me emotionally and physically healthy. It's one of the best investments I can ever make is to prioritize my physical and emotional health so that I am able to bring the very best of who I am to my children and to my parents and to the rest of my family and friends. Yesterday, I took my dad and my mom and my fiance and her son. The five of us went to the San Francisco Giants game. And before we all five went to the Giants game together. That's a big investment of my time, my energy, right? I love baseball, but the drive up there, the drive back there, being at the game, like it's a Monday, I could have been accomplishing things for the company, but I prioritized time with my parents and with Kristen and Anthony. Before the game, I went early to go play disc golf with Kristen and Anthony, right? After the game, I stayed with my parents to go out to dinner with them. So I invested the entire day yesterday into doing what was important to my family, right? And spending money on what was important to my family. And so that's an example of yesterday. With my children, my sons, like I bought a small one-wheel pint. The reason I bought a one-wheel pint is because my youngest son, Kenton, when he got on the one-wheel XR, it wouldn't register his weight. So I'm like, I want my son to ride this so much because it's so good for our relationship and for him as a human, in my opinion, that I'll get a pint. So that would be an example of investing time. Or, like I've gone to Puerto Rico with my children. So I didn't need to bring them to Puerto Rico. I needed to go to Puerto Rico to take care of business. But I chose to fly them to Puerto Rico to spend the money, to invest the time, to make sure that it was all worked out and good with their mom, to prioritize making sure that they could come and experience that amazing culture and people and all of it. Or I also I flew them to New York, and then I drove them across the country from the East Coast back to home. Like the amount of time and energy and money that I spent in order to prioritize being with my children for that week, to take them to the World Trade Center and talk about, love and hate and revenge and deception of ideology. Why would anybody do this to our country? Or to take them to Times Square and for them to see and stand on the red stairs they've seen on the Apple drone footage a million times, and to take them through and let them see things and ask questions and to give my total, complete, undivided attention to them. So if I only told stories about how I prioritize my health mentally and physically on the one wheel, or how I prioritize time with my parents to go out to eat with them and take them to a game, or with my fiance and her son to take them to a game and go play the one wheel, or it's all about me taking my boys to Puerto Rico or taking them to New York, then I make myself the hero of my own story, or even worse, the hero of other people's stories, like my children. And so that is not the whole story. As much grace as there is with my good decisions, I also have equal struggle in being selfish, in prioritizing myself over others, in being, in allocating my financial resources to things that are not my family, right? Allocating my financial resources to me, or to business, or to somebody else that may seem in need, but then ignore my family's needs. So I could give a equal, devastating list of poor time, money, energy, resources that I've diverted away from my family, as much as I can give an extravagant list of great victories. So oftentimes when we're being interviewed, we have a tendency to want to be like, well, I rode my one wheel for my health, I'm really good for my family this morning. I took them to the game, I disc golf and dinner, and I to Puerto Rico and New York, and I could go on and on and on and on and on about all the good things I've done. But that's not the whole story. And so I want to be very crystal clear that I could give just as I could take myself out. I could humiliate myself and talk about all the poor investments I've made. That's probably pretty important. Not that I'm going to continue on that note right now, but I think it's important that for me, that when I talk about things I'm investing in, my family, that it's not one-sided, right? Because if things are one-sided, if it's only optimistic, it's only positive, then the whole story is not being told. And really, I've learned more from my poor investments than my good investments. So I'm ready for the next question, Gabe. Hopefully that makes sense.
You've taken up a lot of your time from that question, though, the majority of the 10 minutes. But I will say, to touch on something before we wrap up, because I think we got about 1 minute and 45 seconds left in this interview that we have. How about them Giants, Ian?
Man, talk about fun baseball. Talk about fun baseball. I think I've watched over half the games this year. Most of them are watched live. I have been so thankful for Giants baseball this year. It has been rad. Let's go to a game together, Gabe.
Yeah, I will. I was just at a Mariners game about a day or two ago with my family, which is the Seattle's baseball
That's
team.
awesome.
They're not nearly as good as the Giants are. Not even close. But it's still fun to go play.
Giants are amazing right now.
It's still fun to go watch.
Giants are amazing. Look at this beautiful dog. So, Gabe, let me turn the question around on you. What is the best investment, time, money, energy that your parents have made into your family? Let's end on that note. I have so much respect for your dad, Garrett, and your mom, looking at you and your older brother, Judah, and your daughter, your sister. And I really honor the way that your parents parent. So why don't we end this family investment conversation on one or more things that you just think your parents have done really well when it comes to investing their money, their time, and their energy into your family?
There's a bunch of them. I need to think about it first. I would say.
And just remember, just remember that before you answer, your grandkids, your great-great-grandkids, they'll always judge you on this answer. This is a really, really important answer.
So I would say one of the good investments is everything's always been family-oriented. Family becomes before everything. Nothing takes precedence over family. It's always whatever family wants. It's not whatever the individual wants. It's what everyone wants. And I would say we've always been very, 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 or as my dad has, my dad's been very well with trying to put us in positions in life that'll help us succeed. That makes sense. I was put into the Google startup community with the help of my dad because I was afraid at first to go and address those folks. He helped give me that shove to push me into that community. And because I did that one pitch and kept going to the Google Startup Weekends, this is where I am now because of that. And that is a huge thing, I believe, is that my dad has done major for me in that sense of me in a place to where I can prosper.
It's good. It's really, really good. Well, why don't we end the Attention Live broadcast?
Will do.
And Nigel, why don't you unmute yourself and share your video again, and we'll do an official wrap for all the party people on YouTube. I thought this was a fun change. I'm glad I jumped on the board and came out to the ocean. I thought that was a nice little shift from what we've had. Is Nigel back with us? Not yet. Is Nigel still with us at all?
Yep,
Yes,
he's right
he
here.
is. There's the man. There's the man.
Yeah.
So Nigel, I've got a chance to meet your son. There's so many things I like about your son. Me and Gabe just wrapped up our conversation on family. You want to chime in and say anything about family stuff? Go ahead. You have our attention.
I'm going to speak specifically from a father's perspective, and that there was just a lot of that. I loved what you said last week about the core family, father, son, mother, daughter as the core, as the nucleus, so to speak. But the time we spend with our children or our parents is time we can never get back. It's memories that we can never build once that time has elapsed, it's passed. So when I hear you speak about, taking your children to Puerto Rico and spending the extra time and driving, I think back to, when my children were, much younger, and me understanding well before they were born that you have a finite amount of time, because when you get to be, even before 18, like Gabe is right now, you're no longer, once your child becomes your adult child, that amount of influence, it's difficult to make that separation, and you that letting go. You raise them to be self-sufficient, but at the same time, it's a conflict. And if you didn't build enough memories, I think there can be some feeling of regret. I'm happy to say I don't have any of those, because I've definitely took the time. And when I hear anyone, be it you, or how Gabe speaks about his dad, or one of my partners, Lewis, as I see him and hear him with his children at the moment presently, it just takes me back to that time, and it reminds me of, you know what, you got that part of it right. You may not get everything right, but you got that right. So I love what you said about family.
It's awesome. I said something to my parents last night because, I prioritize going out to dinner with them. And so we're sitting there having dinner, and, a benefit for me as their child, I'm 40 years old, so I'm not like a child, but I'm always going to be their child, right? My dad is 69. He's always been a hero to me, always will be a hero to me. I will make sure to tell about him and his legacy for as long as I can live. My mom, equally, I have honor and respect for her and for their marriage and their union and who they are. So I benefit greatly being with them, right? And we had this really deep conversation last night and talked about a bunch of things we had never talked about, even though we spend all this time together. But one of the things I said to them last night is, I saw a statistic recently that the average 40-year-old American only has 40 more times that they'll see their parents. It doesn't matter if that number's true. Maybe it's 25, maybe it's 75. But there's an average that a 40-year-old American will see their family. And the average was basically one birthday and one holiday a year for the next 20 years, right? So you're going to see your parents one of your kids' birthdays, and you're going to see your parents at Christmas or Thanksgiving, something of that nature, on average, right? This is including the people that haven't talked to their parents for 10 years, and the people that, live next door or at their parents' house, or vice versa, parents at their house. And I just said, if you spend an average of 5 hours each visit, which is a pretty long visit, if you spend an average of 5 hours each visit, it means that like 200 hours is how much time an average American like myself will have with their mom and with their dad, if they're graced to even have their parents alive. And I was saying, I probably see you guys 200 hours a season. Like, not just see, but spend time, right? Like, my dad's building a new house right now. I go to his job site as often as I can to go look at what he's creating, to go encourage him and remind him of how amazing it is that he makes homes from his mind and his heart. He creates these physical homes that people live in for many generations. And to just acknowledge and enjoy my dad as an entrepreneur, as a builder, right? I sit down with my mom, we go to the beach, we go walking together, right? I'd rather be on my one wheel, but I can put my one wheel away and I walk with her, right? I invest the time to do that because I recognize that there's no promise of tomorrow. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that I got to talk with them about last night. was just the grace that the three of us have, in that the three of us get to spend so much time together during this season of our lives, and how thankful I am for it. I think we're good, gentlemen. I think we can stop the live stream, and we'll be back again, everybody. For those that are watching live, I'm loving you right now. For those that watch the archive, I love you, not as much as the live viewers, to be honest. Because I'm loving you later, so I'm not loving you right now. I'm loving you later in spirit. But, congratulations on finding this content. Hopefully it made you laugh a little bit and maybe got you to think a little bit as well. And we'll be back Thursday. Gabe, what is our topic on Thursday that you and Nigel and Ted and I are discussing?
On Thursday, our topic is going to entail habits. What habit is most significant to you in the category you'll be speaking about? Okay, good. Well, I look forward to it, everybody. So I'm going to go. I'm kind of in the way. I've been kind of like a, you ever heard somebody say, be an open door, not a closed door? I've been a bit of a closed door here in the Capitola Village. People have been walking around my stuff kind of like respectfully, which is very kind of them. Not that I expected them to, but
hogging up the frame. Get out of the way. Hogging up the frame.
Yeah, I'm more of a door right now than a window. I can say that much. That right behind me is kind of like a window. All right, over and out. I salute you. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm turning the live stream off. That's it.